This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 6th. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On this beautiful Tuesday morning, summer has finally arrived here in Wright County. We have a pretty robust here agenda. We'll go right at it. First would be the approval of the minutes from the April 15th County Board meeting.
Mr. Chair, I will approve the minutes with some modifications. I would like to add on the end of the agenda, we review committee minutes and make recommendations. I would just like to state what those recommendations were. Number one was to approve the change to Wright County Probation Delivery System to Community Corrections Act. Number two was to approve the allocation of $72,000 from Joint Ditch 15 funds to cover outstanding expenses. Number three, approved adoption of the Great River Regional Library Minitex resolution. And number four, approved updated RFP process and bylaws for Opioid Advisory Council. Just for some clarity, as it's not stated in the agenda itself, that those recommendations are clear.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Dietrich, second by Commissioner Moyna. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, minutes approved unanimous. All right, next would be today's agenda. To start off here, we have a few items here to move on today's agenda. Would the administration, you have some?
Yes,
I believe?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I'm going to request that the board remove from the agenda and place upon the table consent agenda items A3, B1, B2, D1, and then under items for consideration, letter B, committee minutes, number 3, the personnel committee minutes from April 24, 2025. And I'm asking for this in light of the budget shifts that the legislature is forcing on us. I'd like to hold this off to at least May 20th so we know what the session is going to look like here in the next 2 weeks before we make any moves on rehiring any staff at this point in time, so we can get ready for budget implications that are coming from that pass-through from the state down to us, which, I'll be honest, from the time we got this agenda on Thursday to today, is only getting worse.
I appreciate that, Administrator Kreiser. In addition, I would like to add on to items for consideration a time change to the Parks Committee of the Whole on May 12th. I had a unexpected funeral come up for that Monday that I'd like to have a discussion. So since I have items on that Committee of the Whole on May 12th. All right. And with that, I'll stand for a motion to approve today's agenda with the modifications.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Moyna. Any further discussion?
No, I'd like to say thank you for, we had some really good discussion about, like, with holding off on some of these rehires. This is a scary situation that we have at the Capitol. So thank you for postponing that. We directed staff to really take a good look at that.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Holland, we haven't seen anything like this probably since 2008. And frankly, I think the shift coming down on us is probably going to be worse than 2008 recession. This is completely manufactured by the state with funding shifts.
All right. I think we can have more of a discussion on that too at the HHS portion of the agenda. All right. Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Motion passes unanimous. Next, today's consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove anything from today's consent agenda for further discussion? Otherwise, I'll stand for a motion to approve today's consent agenda.
So moved.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Dietrich.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Moyna. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Consent agenda approved unanimously. All right. Now moving on to timed agenda items. We have Mr. Lutz here, who he has someone to introduce to us. Welcome, Brian. And I believe it's welcome, Brian and Brian.
It's easy to remember, right? So, good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I want to take the opportunity to introduce my newest attorney. I think you're going to be working a lot with Brian Wold. He's going to be assigned to the Civil Division. Brian grew up in Elk River, and he went to undergrad at Drake, and he went to law school at Hamlin. He's been a lawyer long enough where it was just Hamlin, it wasn't Hamlin-Mitchell then. He did 9 years as a lawyer in Mille Lacs, 11 years total as a law clerk, and then most recently was in Scott County for more than a year when he joined our attorney. He's been historically a criminal prosecutor, but during the interview process, he fully embraced being part of the Civil Division, knowing what the job is, and he started April 21st, so this is his third week, and I know he met Mr. Chair and Commissioner Moyna yesterday on a ditch meeting, so he's jumping right in and learning things. He's very intellectual, very studious, so I think he'll fit in very well with the civil aspects, which require a great eye for detail. Still kind of a work in progress as to all of his assignments, but he's going to handle tax appeal matters, drainage issues. He's going to be my main administrative representative to the sheriff's office and the jail, and also handle some planning and zoning matters. So very excited to have someone with Brian's experience join the office. That said, I'll turn it over to Brian.
Welcome, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for
I don't
having
know
me.
if you have any quick words, but you come with a pretty robust resume. We're very privileged to have you here in Wright County and look forward to all the great talent that you'll be able to bring our way.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words and I appreciate the opportunity. Looking forward to it.
We're very excited that you're willing to wrestle ditches.
We'll see how long it lasts.
Both of our heads were spinning a little bit after yesterday's meeting. So, yeah.
We'll get there.
Oh, very
Welcome
good.
aboard.
Welcome
Thank you so
aboard.
much.
At this time, I will stand for a motion to approve and authorize signatures on the oath for Brian Wold.
So moved.
I'll make.
Motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Motion passes unanimous. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Mr. O'Malley. This is our favorite week of the year.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Morning, Board.
Good morning.
Thank you for the time. I have a proclamation and a resolution to read. Correctional officers and employees are capable, committed, patient, persistent professionals. They serve admirably in our correctional facilities all across the country as chaplains, teachers, counselors, supervisors, managers, and directors. They help keep our citizens and communities safe. Correctional officers and employees teach, train, mentor, preach, and cure. Through the job of correctional officers and employees is often very challenging and at times stressful. The thousands who work in the corrections profession every day perform their duties well and with great pride. They are brave, courageous, and tenacious individuals who put their lives and health at risk every day to keep the public safe and provide a multitude of services to the nation's offenders. They have a tremendous responsibility and are owed our nation's gratitude. Our Wright County Correctional Officers are most deserving of our respect and our thanks and highest praise. They are well-trained, always on watch, prepared to meet any challenge. The men and women working in the Sheriff's Office Jail Division make a difference in our communities. They work with and manage more than 4,000 offenders a year in our county. Their abilities and reputation have allowed us to successfully work with multiple jurisdictions, assisting them with overcrowding issues, as well as disciplinary and behavior management problem inmates. On behalf of the Sheriff's Office and Sheriff's Command, we commend those who serve in our corrections profession. This is also a resolution proclaiming May 4th through 10th of 2025 as Correctional Officer and Employee Week. Correctional officers are trained law enforcement professionals dedicated to maintaining a safe correctional facility and ensuring public safety. And correctional officers are essential to the success of our criminal justice process. And correctional officers' work includes daily exposure in a hostile environment with some of the most dangerous individuals in our society. And correctional officers provide offenders with direction, hope, and new focus while assisting reentry and life outside of corrections. The correctional officers and employees raised to meet the challenge and serve the honorable profession notably and admirably. And now, therefore, be it resolved, we, Wright County Board of Commissioners, do hereby acknowledge the week of May 4th through the 10th, 2025 as Correctional Officer and Employee Week in honor of the dedicated professionals who serve the citizens of Wright County by supervising the county's inmate population. Thank you for that time.
Thank you, Captain O'Malley. You yourself and your staff do a fantastic job. This is always a great honor to recognize the work that you and your team do over there. It's hats off to you. I hear from all across the state when I go to different things on great things about our jail and its operations. So,
Thank you. We try very hard.
and it's well noted out there. So keep up the great work.
I can be loud at times.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Then at this time, I'll stand for a motion to proclaim May 4th through the 10th as Correctional Officer Week here in Wright County.
So moved.
I'll second
All
that.
right, motion by Commissioner Dietrich, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none, resolution vote. Commissioner Moyna.
Aye.
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 Oh,
Thank you all very much.
thank you. And Jamie's on her way up to the podium as we now put on our Health and Human Services hats as we move into the Health and Human Services portion of the agenda. At the beginning of the agenda here, to approve the consent agenda, administration, I believe there was a note here to remove from the consent agenda items 4, 5, and 6.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. Following what we did earlier, I held off on these items because this is where we're wearing our HHS hats, so wanted to respect the bifurcation of duties and do the separate motion here.
All right. So there would be standing for a motion to approve the consent agenda item with removing 4, 5, and 6.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Shane to approve the consent agenda with the removal of items 4, 5, and 6. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just to be certain that we're tabling it until we understand what the state budget is going to look like. So we're not saying, no, it's just a table.
Yep, just to hold it off so we have some more time to do some vetting. Yep.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, with that, we have a motion and we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Consent agenda approved unanimously with the removal of 4, 5, and 6. Timed agenda items. Jamie.
Yes, thank you. I have a resolution for the board to consider that as May 2025 as Child Foster Care Awareness Month. And with that, I'm not sure if they're going to join me or I'm just reading it. I think Christine Treichler is in the room. So I think I'll just do it. Here we have our folks over here. So I'd like to have the board proclaim May 2025 as Child Foster Care Awareness Month. Strengthening and preserving families is vital to building our strong communities. Children deserve a stable, supportive, and loving home in which to grow, thrive, and realize their fullest potential. Foster care plays a critical role in providing a place of refuge for young people who are removed from their homes. When children must be separated from their parents, kinship care provides children with the opportunity to grow and learn in supportive, loving, safe home environments while retaining a sense of family, cultural heritage, and community ties. And we encourage all citizens of Wright County to invest in the lives of children and to provide them with unconditional love, support, guidance, and every available resource to ensure their health and well-being. We acknowledge with gratitude the selfless citizens who open their hearts and homes to children in need and the organizations that tirelessly support foster and kinship caregivers. And this month and every month, let's take the time to help children and youth in foster care and to recognize the commitment of those who touch their lives, particularly celebrating the foster care providers. And I would like to add also our foster care and licensing social services staff as well. We have wonderful staff who do an amazing job, and I think we are probably stewards and people that other counties look to for how we're governing our own foster care programs in Wright County. And if you'd like us to stand up. Thank you. So I would like to ask the board to proclaim May 2025 as Child Foster Care Awareness Month.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Shane to proclaim May 2025 as Foster Care Awareness Month here in Wright County. I want to thank all of you and the wonderful families that take in these children for your hard work. You have endured over the last decade quite a roller coaster of placements, sometimes at extraordinary highs and other times at lows, which I believe we're at this time is kind of one of our lowest placement times that we've seen over the last decade, which is a good thing. So keep up the great work. We appreciate that and all the wonderful training that you bring to these families and the support that you bring to these children.
I appreciate that, and I probably would be remiss if I didn't mention, I believe we are at an all-time low in the number of children that we currently have in foster care, and it is less than half, even though we have more children in the county right now, it's less than half the number that we had several years ago. So it's an amazing job and effort on everyone's part. That's great. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Resolution vote, Commissioner Shane?
Aye.
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 All right,
Thank
the
you.
motion passes unanimously.
And we will inform you of any upcoming events in relation to Foster Care Month.
All right.
Next, we would ask the board to accept our donation, our March-April 2025 donation resolution.
All right, members, I'll stand for a motion.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland to approve the HHS Resolution 2506, accepting the March and April 2025 donations. Any discussion? Hearing none, resolution vote, I vote aye.
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 All right, well, we appreciate all of the support from the citizens and organizations across the county.
Thank you. And now I'd like to invite our Mental Health Advisory Committee Chair, Carl Haryu, to join me at the podium to provide the board with our annual statutorily required unmet needs report. So Carl is a member and our current chair of our Mental Health Advisory Committee. And I believe in your packet you have information regarding the unmet needs report.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Taking one hat off, usually when I meet with you, it says the Mayor of Cokato. So as the chair of the unmet needs, or the Mental Health Advisory Committee, we do the annual unmet needs. Some of these I think you'll find good because the responsibility doesn't fall directly on you. One of the things we're looking at, we've identified daycare, affordable daycare options, and I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. We've looked at, childcare assistance available within the county. It continues to be obviously a statewide issue, but looking at possibly, again, ways of getting people to qualify for additional financial support or things like that. Another idea, or unmet need, support for youth in crisis. We actually did have a couple of new members join. This was one of their very high areas of interest, and so we have formed a youth coalition committee along with members of the Health and Human Services Board, or Health and Human Services members, and then a couple of community members at this point. Looked at promoting trauma-informed care principles, preventing access to lethal means, and then suicide prevention. And a couple of other proposed solutions looking at teen mental health, hosting those courses, finding somebody, or to be continued, another program on suicide prevention, and then peer training for schools. We had a consumer report that they attempted to call the 988, the mental health hotline, where call was sent over to 911, and, you know, of course, probably wasn't, law enforcement response probably wasn't what they were needing at that time. Fortunately, again, Wright County has established a co-responder program. I'm sure at times they wish there were multiples of those, but at least there is one going. Looking at other warm lines, utilizing some of those, we do have a 4-county crisis response team and even a mobile team. So, and again, looking at some peer support programs there. Always looking for additional mental health resources and supports for parents when their children are in that transition from childhood to adulthood. One of the issues, of course, is once the children do become adults, the parents' legal responsibility kind of diminishes, so, even though necessarily the care doesn't. So again, looking at peer resources, things like that. So, and trying to educate with even the children as to what resources are available within the county already. Lack of transparency between employer, employees, and insurance companies. We do fortunately have a couple of insurance company representatives who do attend our meetings. So they are getting this message. I'm sure they're getting it from other places also. But again, looking at educating people on finding what mental health resources are available with their insurance, through their insurance things. I also want to commend you. I've been attending a state review commission with local advisory councils geared towards mental health. Sat through several of them. They were reviewing bylaws, and Wright County did it right the first time. Each county should have a local advisory committee, and so far everything that has been discussed is already being done in Wright County. So good job with setting up that local advisory, and also to the Health and Human Services for getting that established and set up.
Carl, I appreciate your time and all the individuals that sit on our Mental Health Advisory Council and putting this annual report together of these unmet needs. This is one of the few documents in the year that I feel is super important, being able to really target different items that we're struggling with in the county and being able to make some progress forward. This is one of those key performance indicators that tells us whether we're doing the right thing or not and what things we're missing. So I appreciate your time on vetting that out.
In those those conversations when those insurance agents are there, have they mentioned, or has there been anything brought up in the past, prior to me starting, where they've talked about the lack of mental health services that are covered by a lot of insurances? I mean, there's a lot of insurances that I've seen over the years, they only cover 2 or 3 visits, and then it's all out of pocket at that point. A lot of people can't afford those out-of-pocket visits for how expensive some of those therapy services can be, and 2 or 3 visits, that barely gets you an introduction to your therapist, let alone a rapport to be able to work on any services. So has that been any topic of conversation that's been?
That has been, and I believe it comes more from the consumers who are on members of our boards. The insurance companies, obviously, they're showing us or explaining to us what services they do provide. Unfortunately, of course, the other flip side to that is with our lack of providers, you might only be able to schedule 2 to 3 visits a year. So I know of some people who contact their psychiatrist or psychologist, and it's a 6-month wait to get in. So, but yes, those things are discussed. I think at least the representatives are hearing from the consumers. Hopefully, they're bringing it back to their companies.
Mr. Chair, if I could
Yes.
just make a comment. First off, it's good to hear that they're recognizing our leadership in the state with the advisory. committee. Also, it's nice to, isn't it been about a year, year and a half since we started this co-responder thing? So it's kind of nice to hear an update on that, you know, you're exactly right. We probably need more, but in time when we have such need, but it's good to hear that process is working.
Yeah, I believe it's been very effective, and we've got some good reports about the interactions that have occurred and the results of those. So it's been a very good, I think we're just over a year. I think actually coming up this fall, it takes a little while to get anything kind of off its feet, but I think this fall will mark maybe the 2-year anniversary of the board approving the co-responder program.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Sure, Vetch. I also it's interesting about how childcare weaves into everything. I know this legislative season, we've been working really hard with Christine Treichler and then the Missy from the EDP. It's hitting it also the CMJTS workforce. It's really a problem. It's a nationwide problem. We just don't want to lose those home daycares. So I'm glad that, people are advocating for no change to that level because we need as many daycares as we can.
Right, we rely heavily on the daycares. I wouldn't say that we're in a super strong position, but I think we're doing as best we can with the resources that are out there right now. I don't believe Wright County lost any daycare spots over the last. We maybe added a few daycare spots overall in the county.
Yeah.
But again, we have a very large child population and a lot of parents who obviously need to work, and sometimes their work takes them further away from home than maybe other places. So they're very reliant on our daycare providers.
And I think talking to some of our constituents that do daycare, they're really getting concerned because if a lot of these things are enacted, there will be more home daycares that go under, and we just don't want that.
Well, our staff do our best we can to support them, but we're all at the mercy of what the state, legislates
Exactly.
in the end analysis.
Yeah, and just, again, it was May being Mental Health Awareness Month, we find it carries all the way through. Even our correction officers, unfortunately, they kind of become our mental health providers when nobody else is available.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you, Carl.
Well, Jamie, I appreciate you see right on the first item on your director's comments is the governor's budget implications. I think we could probably talk all day on this.
I have a synopsis, so if you'd like to hear it, I'm ready to go.
Sure, I'll let you kick off because I know I have some potential
Okay.
comments. So.
Well, and we are looking at significant, as you know, state cost shifts to counties from the governor's proposed budget, would not only impact the cost to the counties, but also our, the cuts and the shifts would affect our communities, our clients, our taxpayers. Both the Senate and the House also have out, different versions of it. It's basically all is on, I would say most of it's on the back of HHS and particularly on our adult services, mental health, in those areas. Our waivers programs as well. So it does impact the people that we serve. I've been out of the country actually for the last 10 days, but Administrator Kreiser did attend a MICA legislative meeting recently, and I'd like to run through just some of the points that MICA came up with, which closely mirrors both MAXA, AMC, all of our organizations that work together to, work together to lift counties up during situations. And I know somebody mentioned we're kind of back to the 2008 and 2011 and some of those kinds of times that were very difficult. I was here in 2007 and 2008, and at that time our public assistance cases doubled. And, we went through some very difficult times, different types of difficult times, but it's this is not our first time kind of wrangling things to see how we can at least come out, if not on top, at least as unscathed as possible. And with that, these proposed shifts, some of the things I would like to mention, the proposed shifts in the governor's budget don't allow for any changes of services or operations. So we're still mandated to do the work that we're mandated to do regardless of the cost shifting from the state to the counties. The state is shifting costs to the counties, which require higher property taxes. At the same time, the state is increasing its own agency operational budgets and opting not to increase taxes. So it's kind of I would look at this as kind of a fairness issue, shifting costs on one hand, yet increasing their budget in other areas and not taking that hit and passing that hit on to the counties. So effectively, the state is passing the buck and having counties make the hard decisions, which is you folks sitting in the chairs that you're currently sitting in. During deficits in prior years, like 2011 and the mid-2000s, some costs were shifted to counties, but this was done in combination with cuts to agency budgets, and that's not what's happening this time. This proposed budget burden is not being shared the same way. These human service shifts are on county specifically. They're not being shared with other local entities like cities. And if the costs become law, many counties will have to raise levies at a level not seen in over 15 years. And as you know, the property tax is regressive and it will hit low and moderate income Minnesotans and Wright County residents particularly hard. It's not a hidden cost since homeowners will get the property tax statements mailed directly to them and show the increase from the previous year. I think a lot of questions will follow that increase. And because legislators are concerned about the potential federal cuts and cost shifts that would apply from, so at the same time that I think that kind of the knee-jerk reaction, the state is passing this on to the counties without knowing really where the feds are gonna, fall as far as cuts coming to the state. It's hitting us harder because that unknown is still there, and we would really like to work better with the state to mitigate and not penalize counties at this time, especially in this time of uncertainty of not knowing where the federal cuts are coming or what that's going to look like down the road. So if the governor's budget could, could just better mitigate some of these costs and have an awareness that we're all in a state of uncertainty. And again, I would just like to make a statement. We'll be going into a budget meeting very soon here, but Health and Human Services seems like it's a particularly difficult place to extract cost shifts from, since we're operating under very close to an entirely mandated operational system and, again, a growing county and the costs that are involved with that. So it's a disservice to our citizens and it's a disservice to the state, I think, just to shift costs from one area to another. So that's kind of what my statements are here. I'm sure you have other comments regarding the budget.
Well, at this point, I'm going to say this is a call to action. I'm going to start off by saying I want to thank the dozen citizens who have already copied me on the emails that they've sent to the governor's office. We greatly appreciate it. We need to call more individuals to actions. This cost shift is going to be far-reaching and it will be potentially long-lasting. I say far-reaching because it is, much as the cost shifts are isolated to HHS, in order for us to shore up that increase, we are going to have to go outside of HHS to make the cuts, because being able to pass all of that on to the taxpayer isn't going to be palatable or feasible. So when I say we were going to be far-reaching, we will be reaching across all departments in the county to try and shore up that. When I say long-lasting, when we go backwards in services, it will go back, it will lose those services fast, and it will take a decade to bring those services back. So that's the long-lasting side to it. I ask any and every citizen out there to contact the governor's office and tell them what the potential impact to their household is in this cost shift and what it will mean to you as a taxpayer. We'll help you articulate what our cuts will be in the upcoming months to be able to shore up the financial aspects of it here at the county as much as we possibly can. But there will be changes in levels of services in order to do that, and those cuts will be challenging. So hopefully in the next month, the legislator and the governor will get wise and decide to make some internal cuts on their end versus just shifting their burden onto the local taxpayers through the county.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I'm really worried about this, the fiscal year with the state versus us, and it's House File 2434. And how is that going to affect our budget even now going forward after July?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Shane, specifically on that budget or that House file alone, where it deals with the rate share exceptions. They're looking at increasing that on the counties, assuming that the federal share is still there, to the rate of 16.28%. And in 2023, our rate share exception was $16 million. That has only gone up in 24, and it's likely going to be higher in 25 and higher in 26. So taking the known 2023 numbers, that is estimated to be a $3.3 million hit to the levy instantly just from that bill alone. And going over the entire biennium, you're looking at a $6 million hit. And this is only off of 2023 numbers, which have gone up. And that's assuming that the federal share is still at 50%. If the federal share changes, that 16.28% only increases up to potentially 33%.
And you're going to compile that with the addition of adding on the Minnesota African American Family Preservation and Child Welfare Disproportionate Act as well, which has is another unfunded mandate.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. Yeah, what is collectively called the Act, that Act you just referred to, the Act, is really reliant upon federal funding, which may go away. And that Act requires us to maintain that level of federal service. So if the federal government does any cuts to SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, they'd cut any other services, the Act still requires the county to provide those dollars, even if the federal government doesn't. So the entire Act is really built upon the shell game of the federal government still being there, which it may not be come October 1st. And then those dollars, I mean, we were just looking at a staff impact from the Act alone of $1 million, but if you have to add on the federal gap that's now being passed down because of this mandate that is completely unfunded, you could be looking, I'm just going to be speculating, it'll be millions more. I don't even want to put a number out there because I'd have to probably retract it or go higher.
Chairman Betch, in my 14 years at the school board, the thing that we always paid attention to is that the people on fixed incomes, and this is going to hurt them. And the other thing we know from my 14 years is that once something shifts down, they never clap back. So
Agreed.
once they do, and talking to my superintendent, the schools also have unfunded mandates heading their way that are costing them a lot of money. I know St. Michael Albertville is going to go out for a levy and a bond, and many of these other schools are going to go out for levies. And so that also impacts that general dollar from these poor people that are living paycheck to paycheck, which is very hard to stomach.
Right, and we've seen that play out in HHS several times with min-choice assessments and things like that, where, the amount that we weren't hit up for that at the beginning, and then we were. And to Administrator Kreiser's point, for the exceptions, the county, this is an invisible number to us. This is not a number, the 16 million that we've ever seen. We had to ask the state to provide that to us because they're not even dollars that go through our coffers, so to speak. So, it's something that we've never paid into before, and starting this kind of slippery slope of having to pay an exception rate now. So I think this is definitely a difficult situation that I hope gets, in some way mitigated before the legislation ends. And to your call to action, Commissioner Vetch, I'd also say contact the governor's office and your legislators quickly, because May 19th is the legislative, end. So don't wait. I think it needs a call to action. It needs to be fast.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, if I could follow up on that bill, given from our consultant's comments from Micah, apparently at the end of the House file, when they talked about House File 2434 in the last committee meeting, a comment was made that it could have been much worse, but that they did the best that they could. And I think that's a little disingenuous when they're not cutting their own agency budgets. They're maintaining HHS at the same level, state DHS at the same level, and passing the buck to us and saying it could have been much worse.
Well, especially in light of the fact that there is even some departments that are even seeing increases in state agencies.
Well, and to that effect, they just created the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, which is, if not mirroring DHS, is in addition to DHS now. So to the cost of the state, millions of dollars.
I think all of our heads are spinning here right now. And
I know mine is.
Moving on to your other items
Yes.
here on your director's comments.
Yeah, there's some mixed in, some good things. Back on April 9th, we had a HHS all staff training. We had a presenter that came in and did a look for the good to make today better. We had over 200 people attending that. We also did a safety at the doorway with Detective Blake Lemire from the Wright County Sheriff's Office, and we provided some county and agency updates. So well-attended, well-received. It was a good day. I think it was a 2-hour total time for that.
If I could make a comment on that, that was very good. It was entertaining. The speaker is from St. Michael. We applaud him for giving us a deal. He is a national act that came and did it for us, which is really great. And it was very fun, and it was really good information too that Deputy Blake gave, which was really good information. And yeah, it was really nice to put that together. And thank
Right.
you.
Thank you. I want to do some recognition as well. So we had a report just recently, and I know we've been here talking about our fraud and collections and things like that since we added the fraud investigator about it this past year. But I also want to say now that one of our main collectors, Shelley Stotko, collected the 8th largest amount in the state of Minnesota, and it was $2,010,000. I think I'm saying that right. In comparison to the year before, it was 600,000, and the year before that, just under $1 million. So she's done an amazing job, and she's collecting lots of money that these would be collections that would have gone out to people in benefits or things like that, and that we collect them back either through a state recovery or different types of collections. So doing a really great job, and she was acknowledged as one of our top state collectors. So good job, Shelley Stotko.
Great.
I also wanted to give you an update on our recently had a name change. It's our Family Community Resource Center, our FCRC. And this is the one that we're working with, Community Action out of Maple Lake. And just for your information, we've connected our county GIS team to the FCRC coordinator to map out these events calendars. So the community will be able to interact with the calendar on the website to search for specific needs and see when and where services will be provided in their community. So we're kind of in the idea stage. So I think it's something that will be very tangible and visible to our young families to be able to work. And technology is everything now. So if they can go online and find resources, I think this will be a big boon for the county as well. Next, I would like to invite Jacob Anson to join me up at the podium. Jacob recently, he's a member of our public health area, and he recently completed the 18-month Center for Homeland Defense and Security master's program through the Naval Postgraduate School. The board allowed this to occur partially on staff time. There you are, Jacob. So this is a program, I'm going to let Jake speak to it in a little bit, provides leaders with advanced education and policy, strategy, and emergency preparedness, combining academic rigor with real-time application, and Jacob earned his Master's of Arts in Security Studies alongside 30 outstanding classmates from across the United States. This time was supported by our public health preparedness grant funds while he was completing his degree. So I think you have some information in your handouts about it, but I would like Jacob to give you just a little heads up about what that meant to him and what that looked like.
First, I'd like to start by thanking the board for allowing, and the county overall for allowing me to go through this program. It was a very unique opportunity, and it's one that I did not take lightly, so I greatly appreciate the advocacy and the work that the board did to make sure that I would get into the program. Overall, it was an 18-month program, as mentioned, through the Center for Homeland Defense and Security. Throughout the program, we learned the different aspects of Homeland Security. As mentioned, myself and 30 other individuals from a wide variety of disciplines and across the nation went through this and learned from each other and learned with each other both how Homeland Security started and where it is now. So I look forward to taking my knowledge forward and doing well by the community and putting stuff into practice. So I would also be remiss if I didn't thank my wife for putting up with it while I was there. So did want to say that.
Great. Thank you, Jacob. We're very proud of Jacob and his wife, Ellie. Thank you. And also I wanted to, our AmeriCorps program, as you know, the board's been involved with AmeriCorps and RSVP, and you've seen them come in. We do have their annual report as part of their packet, so I'll just let you peruse that on your own. I did want to say that they are a federally funded program as well, and I heard that they will continue to be funded at this point. So we're not in danger of losing our RSVP or AmeriCorps. I shouldn't say that, our RSVP program. We did lose our AmeriCorps. We were having students, or I don't know, AmeriCorps volunteers, I guess they'd be considered, Sarah? We've been running a program over the last several years where they've come in and worked side by side with our public health staff. That program will cease to end at the end of August this year.
Yeah, we've had at least one and sometimes as many as two full-time staff that worked alongside our staff to complement it, actually reduce the need for staffing requests. Fully funded, we didn't have to pay a buy-in or anything. Several of them were completing their masters throughout the process. And many of them were community members that have gone on to get full-time positions in public health, and we are losing that program.
Thank you, Sarah. And finally, I have a recognition letter somewhere in my pile of things here, congratulating Wright County for our financial reporting success in the past year for 2024. So just shout out to the folks both in HHS and obviously in our fiscal area that contributed to this success. So it's kind of, I believe the Commissioner Vetch would have gotten the same letter, so just kind of a we done good kind of thing. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. Unless you have any other questions.
Thank you, Jamie.
I would just like to, at this time, thank Sarah for allowing us to go last week. We spent a week at a emergency preparedness convention. So very much glad that we have Jacob because some of that stuff is frightening. And we learned a lot. It was very, very good information that we will bring forward to our county and work through some things that will make us safe. So thank you.
I appreciate it. I'm glad there was an opportunity for people to attend that. I heard only good things. So thank you very much.
If I could just make
No,
one
absolutely.
comment too. I went to a state and local legal authority meeting. I was so overwhelmed and was trying to take notes so fast. So I would like to sit down with Sarah and stuff afterwards. There was so many classes there. I just was overwhelmed. Never been so educated and enlightened. Like she said, scary in some aspects, but then they had this where to give you points to kind of where you could go, what you could do. So I look forward to being able to utilize those as well.
I will make Sarah to your disposal. How's that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And moving on to our 9:25, which is now our 9:45 agenda item. Lindsay Myers, is she out there? There she is, making her way to the podium. And once again, we get to accept in this case, it's the 2023 Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. How many of these have you gotten now?
We are up to 9 consecutive.
Wow.
So as you said, we have once again been awarded the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for our 2023 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. It's been prepared by our Finance Department. This, like I said, marks the 9th consecutive year that we have earned this prestigious honor. Every year which we have participated in this program, we have received this award. This recognition represents the highest form of achievement in governmental accounting and financial reporting, which is awarded by the GFOA. It reflects our commitment to transparency, accountability, and excellence in financial management. To receive this distinction, a government must demonstrate comprehensive reporting that conforms to generally accepted accounting principles, complies with all relevant legal and contractual requirements, and provides sufficient detail and clarity. Reports must be both thorough and accessible, embodying the principles of full disclosure and transparency. Importantly, this is not just an award for how financials are presented. It's really the result of a years-long organization-wide effort to ensure that every transaction is properly documented and reported. We should recognize the outstanding work of Assistant Finance Director Heather Lemieux for her leadership, as well as her leadership team and every member of the Finance Department. Their diligence, accuracy, and unwavering commitment to integrity have made this accomplishment possible. The entire team deserves recognition for this continued achievement.
I think it's great that you are able to still, 9 years running, be able to achieve these standards in light of some challenges with implementing different softwares and different processes within your office, which were necessary, but you're still able to make sure that you're able to get the reporting and the transparency necessary to be a good financial steward of taxpayer dollars.
They really have worked hard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving forward here, items for consideration. We have to set the agenda for the May 13th County Board of Commissioners Workshop for next Tuesday. Included is the agenda items. I will stand for a motion to approve the agenda for the
Mr. Chair,
workshop. Yes.
I would like to add just further discussion on the county board minutes to the agenda, please.
All right. Standing for motions.
I'll make a motion with that addition.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Dietrich. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Moyna. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimous. The agenda is set for next Tuesday. All right. Now, moving forward, we have the committee minutes from the revisor work.
Nope. You want a time change for the 12th? You
Oh,
added that.
you added that one. Oh, yeah, I was going to put that one very last, but that's fine. We can do that too. So we'll do I have a funeral now that is during the Parks Committee of the Whole on Monday, the 12th. I'm looking to see if we can move that to 9 a.m. Versus the original scheduled time of 10 a.m. If we can move it back an hour, I can be able to make that, and mostly just because looking to move it because I have a particular item on the agenda on there, so. Does that work for members to move it from 10 to 9 next Monday?
Works for me.
Works for you? Everybody's good? Getting nods? Then I'll get a motion.
I'll make that motion to change it to 9 o'clock.
Second that.
A motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland to do the Parks Committee of the Whole at 9 a.m. on May 12th versus 10 a.m. Any other discussion? Hearing none? Well, go ahead.
I do have public health that day, so I'll go between the two.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Motion passes unanimous. Now we're down to the revisers work group recommendations. So coming forward from the revisor group that met on April 14th, the consensus of the work group was to bring forward to the Planning Commission to set a date for a public hearing for the May 2025 Planning Commission to adopt of Ordinance Amendment 25-1 following the public hearing. Do you guys have any comments you guys want to make that's regarding to the solar farms and energy systems, mostly just updating the surety amounts and some aspects relating to that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, it was just mainly dealing with some issues with the codification because one of the amendments from 2023 didn't get incorporated fully, and then just adjusting the table for inflation. So public hearing has actually already been conducted last Thursday, so I'm anticipating you'll see this final result with any comments from that public hearing at the next meeting on May 20th.
Which is great that we actually have an inflation piece on it, because otherwise that amount is getting diluted out very fast with the inflation, so.
Thank you for the clarity on that.
All right. If there's any other discussion, others will stand for a motion.
I'll
So
make that
moved.
motion. I'll second it.
All right, motion by Commissioner Moyna, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimous. And on to the second item here, we had the ditch committee meet, myself and Commissioner Moyna on the 15th of April to discuss County Ditch 33, discussing different outlet options regarding the project there. The recommendations were to have Matthijs schedule a meeting with Chad and Jeremy Carlson and Matt Detchen to discuss potential easements for fee title purchases with affected landowners, and then to confirm with the city of Monticello exiting easements can be utilized for future impoundments, And then authorize up to $10,000 from the County Ditch 33 account code, which is listed the 6261, last four digits, to be used for legal opinions regarding the impoundment, easement, and wetland banking. So that's County Ditch 33 is one of the few ditches that has a positive balance. So they have money in their account. They're just authorizing to use money out of the County Ditch 33 fund to pay for some engineering. So
Mr. Chair, this will come back to the ditch authority for approval, or is this something that just is internal to that ditch?
So it's
Without
both.
approval.
So it'll go to the full drainage authority when we look to move an action. The ultimate action we're looking to get to is an abandonment. That may be a little bit further down the road. What we're looking to right now is, in order to move forward with this stormwater project, which needs to take place, we have to work on being able to impound water so that we can demonstrate to the TEP board and the DNR that we're not draining public water. So we have to, and also we have to demonstrate that we're not flooding out other individuals as well. So there's some pieces that we have to do, from some hydrology studying and engineering, as well as there's some work that we have to do with landowner agreements with either them creating wetland banks or us working with them to create wetland banks, or us doing wetland banks ourselves, because we do own some property in that area. So this is just one of the steps of probably 5. There's another minutes. We have some other, myself and Commissioner Moyna just met the other day on a subsequent meeting of this. So there's many steps, but when we finally figure out a methodology and an actionable item, we'll come to the full drainage authority with that.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So with that, I will, this is largely just the approval of getting the $10,000 and then just some communication pieces executed out of the County Ditch 33 fund.
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Commissioner Holland,
Second.
second by Commissioner Moyna. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just with that recommendation with the funding for that out of that ditch, is that something that is now, is that always been the policy that it comes before the board for approval within that? You know, this seems like a new process to me.
No, well, generally they wouldn't have needed to, because it's under $15,000. I could have just executed out and directed Matt, because it has a positive balance. I could have, or even if it didn't have a balance at all, I could have instructed Matt, because any commissioner within their district can approve up to $15,000 in work within that ditch system, and it can either be charged the benefited rolls, or if there's a positive balance in this case, it can be paid out of that. We just included in this because we were just trying to keep the board up to date, because there will be a bigger movement on the backside of this when we hopefully are able to get the impoundment that is needed, and we secure the outlet to the river. We look to hopefully abandon a good section of County Ditch 33.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, any other discussions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just one thing. I got an update from Flaherty and Hood, and I know this is important to the board and you've been following it, but I was informed that Senator Lucero's HOA bill for homeowners associations will be on the floor today. So, or it's at least been calendared for today. So that's better than what I knew at 8 o'clock. So hopefully we get some action on that today and it passes.
All right, we'll get this voted on. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, the ditch committee minutes are approved, or recommendations are approved unanimous. All right, now moving on to the personnel committee ones, which were tabled out to the 20th, so no action there. And now we'll bring it back to you.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chair, I jumped the gun there when you said anything further. So
No, I should have been more
Yeah,
specific. Any other
sorry.
discussion on that item? No, I appreciate it.
I'd like to say a couple of things. I just wanted to reiterate the foster care proclamation that we put out. I know that we have some people on the board right now that have done foster care in the past. I've worked with foster homes in the past, and it's a very tough job for those foster parents to do, and the workers, because they develop relationships with these individuals and these kids, and it's very tough, and there's an emotional toll that gets taken on them, and I don't think we give them nearly enough recognition. Not just us in general. in general, people don't give foster care providers and the county workers that work with them enough recognition, because it's very tough. It's a tough thing to deal with when you have kids coming from those situations, and you're taking that on yourself to help deal with it. So, and I know that a couple of you have done that, and it's very commendable that you've done that. So I just wanted to say another thank you. And then on top of the conversation that Jamie had brought up as far as the governor's budget proposals, there was an article that was sent out to all of the papers in Wright County. I believe all 5 of us gave a quote for that article on our thoughts towards the cuts and not the cuts, the shifts to the county from the state budget. And when I had looked through the papers, all but one of the papers covering Wright County had that article in there this week. And, the Buffalo paper especially, and they do letters to the editors very, very well. So if people want to write extra letters about it, especially in that paper, it's a good thing. But yeah, the article that the commissioners put out is in all but one of the local papers, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Moyna. If there's no other business to attend to at today's county board meeting, we will adjourn at 10 a.m.